Hey, before we get everything started, this is Divide Spectrum. So, subscribe if you want to, like it up. I really do not care what you do because I'm just, I just mainly do this event, but it does bring up some valid points. So, today's topic: get woke, go broke, Hollywood. And it's mainly talking about all this bullshit pandering that movies, TV, and video games have been doing lately, and it honestly annoys me. And most people, like, yeah, they're ignorant of this. Like, they mistaking it for representation. That's pandering. There's a blatant difference between representation and pandering. Representation is okay. Okay, it's good. Movies that sets out to make a good product while also representing a certain demographic. Blade was a good movie. It represented the African American uh, demographic. So many things like that. But pandering is when you focus solely on representation that you can't make a good product, that you're trying to get, that's for some kind of political agenda. That's pandering, and that is very negative. And they get that confused when they should know that they're pandering because it's all about politics. So, and I really can't stand the social justice bullshit. To me, it's just straight up horseshit. Because they care more about trying to get in something than actually making something good. If you want a movie that features LGBT, do that. But don't try to screw up a classic by rebooting and remaking it, but trying to insert something social justice. Make something original. Seriously. Um, we've seen this in recent movies, video games, TV series, and it's really caused problems, and they want to blame it on misogynistic, transphobic, xenophobic trolls. No, it's not. That's not the case. It's just that people don't like having politics thrown in their face. People really hate that. That's not being hateful. That's called people just want to enjoy themselves, not have some agenda forced in front. That's common economics. Because a consumer wants a good product. Good product, so that they can find whatever it is that they are in looking for in that product. But if something from that product gets shoved in their face, they will not like it. Just look at the Nike situation where Nike adopted Colin Kaepernick. People did not like Colin Kaepernick and were going along with Kaepernick's political agenda. That turned people off from buying Nike. I mean, then again, why should you buy from Nike when they have child labor from India? Think about that. No, like, recent movies like Captain Marvel. It could have been good if they didn't go with that third wave feminism agenda. It's mainly Brie Larson that was the problem. Because Brie Larson is an outspoken third wave feminist. In her comments, she was like, I am not anti man or anti white. When she literally did go that route in that infamous speech that we all saw when she was talking about Wrinkle in Time. And all around, that movie just sucked. The script was amateur at best. Like, I did not like the script whatsoever. But it was pushing her into our faces, saying she is the reason why they're the Avengers, or she's the reason this or that. Do not do that. If anyone was the reason, it was Chris Hemsworth's Thor. Because he introduced the cosmic aspect in the Infinity Stones in the MCU. And now, granted, I will say this, I could be wrong. Could be wrong. The whole deal with the Skrulls being refugees. Granted, I'm ignorant of this. I do not know much about the Skrulls in the comics, other than the fact that they are shapeshifters and the whole secret invasion arc. I never read that arc. Here's the thing. I don't know much about Skrulls, so I could be wrong about this. But with Captain Marvel putting Skrulls in as refugees, I can't help but notice political referencing. It's drawing to current times, considering people keep talking about the illegal immigrant and refugee crisis. Yeah, I couldn't help but notice. With Avengers End, they introduced their first gay character. And the thing is, while everyone cared about that, they distracted them from the point of the movie. Do not put someone in as something if it has no effect on the plot whatsoever, because then that just makes it unnecessary and people hate it because they will feel that's being forced on their face. It's seriously, like I said, if you want to make a movie with someone being this or that, make sure it affects the plot, make it something original so that you have your own movie. So here's the thing, look at the show Atypical. I love that show. And it features an individual who is on the autism spectrum. Obviously, his disability affects him and what goes on in the world of that show. And it's a great show. There's many others out there. So, don't go to something that's like immensely popular and try to change it for your own political agenda. We've seen it in Mortal Kombat with the character Kunjin. Now, Mortal Kombat is one of my favorite gaming franchises of all time. And Mortal Kombat X was pretty good. But the most unnecessary aspect of it, see, Kunjin and Ferritor were the worst characters of that entire game. Because Kunjin, they reveal in a flashback that he's gay. It had no effect on the plot, and not even the team cared. No one cared. It was honestly stupid. And I just didn't like Kunjin because of his design, because he was just a rip-off of a Shaolin, trying to, like, somehow be different, but also match Liu Kang and Kung Lao. And he was just over-cocky and overconfident. That I just did not like that character whatsoever. We see this in Doctor Who. Now, granted, with Doctor Who, the whole deal at a time where it can shapeshift from anything, where it regenerates. But it's all about the timing, and they only did this for the political thing. I have nothing against a Time Lord being on, they did it with the Master. But when you do it with timing like that, you're obviously trying to, you think you're trying to get representation, when really you're just pandering. Pandering, pretty much every Schumer movie, every special, Schumer just sucks as a comedian, she rips everyone off. Ghostbusters 2016, because Ghostbusters 2016, they were trying to fit in too much social justice bullcrap that it ultimately affected the movie and made the movie suck. And Leslie Jones, I think her name is, one of the lead cast members in the movie, was like, "You didn't like this movie because you're a misogynistic troll." No, we didn't like the movie because it sucked and made too much politics to it. You know why the original Ghostbusters was good? Because it was enjoyable. I'm not a big fan of the Ghostbusters movies, but it was just enjoyable because they were focused on making a good plot. I'm a writer myself, and I believe don't write a story just for trying to cater to an audience. Write a story because you want to write a good story. If you do that, you won't have to worry about an audience because an audience will come to you and support you. And this constant political pandering that Hollywood, TV, and games have been doing lately is causing polarization. I think it would be better just to be apolitical altogether, because then you don't polarize your fan base. One of my favorite bands knows that, and I respect them for that, because they are smart with that. In Ghostbusters 2016, basically with their 4 leads, they're trying to check off the list. They're like, okay, do we have one normal white straight woman? Check. Do we have one plus size woman? Check. Do we have a minority character? Not a minority, but pretty much a tokenized character. Check. Do we have a lesbian? Check. I have nothing against Melissa McCarthy, but she could have done better with this movie. Melissa McCarthy is hysterical. Even when she does those scenes where she's messing with her husband. Those are funny. But to be honest, that movie was horrible. Weird. Altogether, just suck. And when you do that constant political stuff, people ultimately hate it. They tank the reviews. Star Wars The Force Awakens. I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't the best. It was just a rehash of New Hope. And people complained that Ray wasn't Mary Sue. I mean, a little bit, because she sort of was, but I get the point that they're trying to make her out to be powerful. I mean, if they're doing it just because they wanted a female lead, then yeah, that would have been Mary Sue-ish. But they're doing it just because they had the character in mind for Ray, or they're going off something. I'm okay with that. I don't even know why people were complaining about Finn, played by a John Boyega, I think. He was good. I'll give him that. He was good. I don't even know why people were complaining about it. You got Lando Calrissian in The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. I'm not really much of a Star Wars fan, but I had to bring up that point because there many people complaining about that back then. And this is during the rise of political pandering in movies. And then recently, there was the whole Lashana Lynch deal. And this is where it starts getting worse. Because I love James Bond 007 because James Bond is a hell of a franchise that is enjoyable. People are like, what would you do with a straight white woman as a man? I'm like, it's not about the fact that he's a woman, it's about saving the world and action sequence that gets him hyped. And who cares about sexuality? Who cares? If you like sex, you like sex. Who gives a shit? And now they're deciding that at the end of Bond 25, Lashana Lynch is going to pick up the 007 title. You know what the title of the next James Bond movie is going to be? SJ007. That's an original. And they picked Lashana Lynch. Why couldn't we go with Idris Elba? They're doing this political pandering bullshit. I don't want Idris Elba in there because he's black. I want Idris Elba in there because Idris Elba is a badass. An absolute badass on the screen. I don't know how he was in Dark Tower, but he probably did the best he could. But Idris Elba is a great actor. Have you not seen him in Pacific Rim or Horrible Ghost of Your Spirit Demons? That wasn't his fault. That was the director's. And so they had Lashana Lynch. So they're going to have their first female African British. I don't know. First black woman 007. And I am willing to bet that they're also going to make her a lesbian in the movie, just to cross off the political brownie points. I mean, if you wanted a female MI6 agent, that's cool. But don't do that to the moniker of James Bond, which is 007. Don't do that to him. Stop doing that. Instead, expand the universe and make a universe where you can actually create a new hero. A new hero that people will love. And you can fit in your representation. People will like that better than you ruining something that's classic to many fans. And then recently we saw it all in the recent news on Phase 4 of MCU. And the biggest point was about Thor: Love and Thunder. That movie, it's gonna suck. Because they're like pushing female Thor and a gender neutral king that's queer. They care more about representation. That's mainly on Kevin Feige. Because Kevin Feige was also talking about first gay superhero and bullshit. I do not like that. If they care more about representation, they wonder why people didn't like Captain Marvel. It's because of shit like this. Honestly. And all that bullshit. And plus, from what I know, from what I've heard as well, is that the Jane Foster Thor sucked. And why should we be bringing back freaking Natalie Portman? She left the series for like 6 years. She ain't caring now. There's that whole big. Natalie Portman isn't even that great of an actress. Because I remember Star Wars. That was awful. But then again, most Star Wars movies have sucked. Yeah, Star Trek is better. We'll deal with Natalie. Talking about Valkyrie and shit, and they care more about this representation than making a good plot. Why couldn't they just keep Thor's Chris Hemsworth and then have him handed off to someone? Maybe hand it off to the person he once loved, Jane Foster. They could have even done the Beta Ray Bill art, but no, we gotta fit in our pandering for brownie points. They were talking about Shang-Chi and the Ten, talking about the first Asian superhero. I have no beef with that, because if you're talking about the Mandarin and the Ten Rings, of course we're going to get into that stuff, and I have no beef with that. Hawkeye is pretty good. There's no pandering in that. They're talking about their first deaf hero. I mean, I don't know if we should necessarily care, but you know what? If it's because of something legitimate and not because they want fan representation, and that's fine. I have no beef with that. I remember whenever there was this whole deal, MCU going on, I commented on an article. It's talking about like, oh, only people are shut to care about this pandering. Like, I'm not against representation. I'm against pandering because it really does affect movies. And there's only someone who's overrepresented movies would say something pandering. It's not out of ignorance. It really isn't. And to be honest, I'm probably underrepresented because I am on the autism spectrum. You don't see too many people with autism being represented on screen. I mean, there are actors with autism, like Anthony Hopkins and Dan Aykroyd, but we don't see characters that are autistic. And I don't really care because I care about movies for making a good product, not for fitting in some kind of agenda to get me represented. Yes, I love Atypical. They made that story because they wanted to make a good story, and I could relate to it. So it was great. And there are many consequences to it, because all in all, it causes negative economic consequences. It's common sense. Like I said about making good quality product to please the consumer. Appeasement is just bad all around. Remember what Winston Churchill said about appeasement? Winston Churchill, he wasn't afraid to put his foot. I was saying. And they do this pandering, and they think it's going to make them money, but what they don't realize is that social justice warrior audience that actually think they care, that's a very small percentage. The rest of the world really doesn't care. And honestly, that might end up how their movies might get banned in other countries. Because there are other countries that ban things because of their rules or their views. Just like how China, whenever there was the premiere of Bohemian Rhapsody, it took out the scenes where it was Freddie being intimate with another man. Now, I just think that's a bit ludicrous, because if you're going to tell a story about Freddie Mercury, you need to tell the full story and how there was the stuff with his sexuality and what ultimately happened in the end of his life. So, that's what's going on with other countries. And with this constant political agenda being shoved in people's faces, it's going to turn them off and ultimately causes them to lose money. That's why 007 will likely die out, because they do that political pandering. It has happened to movies before. That's why Ghostbusters suck. That's why they failed to reboot the Ghostbusters franchise. The MCU, they're doing this. They think they're doing something good, but with the pandering, it's going to cause their stock to collapse. They will lose money, and ultimately the quality is going to start going down as they keep trying to pander more and more. It just causes it to go down, because the wokeness of Hollywood means how out of touch they are, that they think they're elite. And with that, the DCEU will rise, because the DC movies have actually been pretty successful recently. Oh, that's another comparison. Wonder Woman, that showed representation of a female being the lead superhero. And they did it for a good story, and Wonder Woman was badass. Gal Gadot, badass. And they want to talk about not having the female heroes all that much. They haven't seen Linda Hamilton's Terminator or Sigourney Weaver in Alien. Those were good female superheroes. Yet they want to gloss over it because they want to talk about their political brownie points. But yeah, this pandering is bad. And ultimately, pandering will result in hemorrhaging money. Because that's what happens. Because don't make a product just for the sake of getting to a certain audience. Make a good product for making a good product, and you won't have to worry about the audience. That's the whole deal. Like I said, I'm a writer. I don't write stuff for the sake of catering to an audience. I write stuff because I want something that I too could enjoy. And with that, I have amassed people, my family, my friends, and whatnot, who have supported that writing, and they like it. Because I honestly think that trying to fit in something that is unnecessary just ruins stuff. Believe me. So yeah, the pandering is bad, and people are going to hate me for it, but it's ultimately the truth. I have nothing wrong with people wanting LGBT representation or minority representation, but instead of trying to fit in whenever it doesn't, or trying to like alter a classic of some sort, don't do that. Instead, making something original that can also do what you want. That is the way, in my opinion. And people want to call me intolerant. I'm not. I'm more tolerant than the fascists on the left. Um, See, here's the thing. I support the ideas of representation, but don't do it to pander. Don't do it because you're just doing that, making a product just for the sake of that. Make a good product for making a good product. If it fits, it fits. If it doesn't, don't force it. That's my whole idea. That's just actually pretty rational, but people don't want to see the rationality. They just want to play victim or just seek out attention because they're narcissists. But yeah, all this stuff with the political pandering in Hollywood and whatnot, going woke will make you go broke. If you don't check yourself, you will wreck yourself, basically. Wokeness doesn't get you anywhere. That's why Mark Wahlberg is successful. He doesn't go with the woke bullshit. He just makes movies for making movies, and he does pretty good. And Mark Wahlberg is a good actor. He really... Chris Pratt is a great actor, and he doesn't really do politics, and people are attacking him right now. Like, why? He's a great actor. And he's a good person, too. I can guarantee it. Whenever Ellen Page attacked him, he responded in one of the best ways possible. So, I don't know about you, but really, the pandering needs to stop because pretty soon it will affect them. I can say that. Because the majority doesn't believe in wokeness, really. The majority doesn't want politics meddling in stuff they want to escape at. Movies and music are about escaping the real world, not staying in it. It's about escape. Superhero movies, the ultimate escape. And the majority is not saying that they need representation or pandering. That's just a very small percentage. So imagine how the majority feels. They will turn away from it. That loyalty towards the MCU or towards James Bond would be broken so that they don't feed it money anymore, and ultimately it comes crashing down. Because you try to do something for a political agenda, it does not bode well. I don't know why I have to hammer in this point, because that basically is what happens. So, yeah. Get woke, go broke, Hollywood. I am Dash Island for Divided Spectrum, my own channel. And we'll see you another time for another wonderful rant about stuff. This is my opinion. I'm basing it off of things I know and things I've observed. That is my opinion. I am not forcing this down your throat, so I am not intolerant. I'm just saying, if you agree with me, great. If you disagree with me, I really don't care. Because that's just how I am. See you next time.